Rory McIlroy just shocked the entire golf world with a career announcement that nobody saw coming. This is the same guy who spent years absolutely destroying LIV Golf, calling it everything from a betrayal to a cult. Now he's completely flipping the script on how he's going to play professional golf.
I said to him, just like I said to John, like, I'm totally supportive of your decision if that's what you feel is the right thing for you. And look, these are guys that I've spent a lot of time with, and I guess I've said this before, but I've come to the realization is I'm not here to change people's minds. I'm here to just try to, especially when I was at the board level, trying to give them the full picture of where things are at and hopefully where things are going to go.
But this wasn't some random decision made overnight. The real story behind what pushed him to this point involves years of exhaustion, watching his friendships fall apart, and finally reaching a breaking point. Today I'm going to walk you through exactly how it all happened and what it really means. If you love the untold stories and explosive drama behind the scenes in golf, make sure you subscribe to On the Green. We've got the inside scoop on every major story shaking the sport. The whole mess started back in spring 2022 with rumors that seemed harmless until they turned into an all-out war. LIV Golf showed up out of nowhere with Saudi money backing them and started throwing around contracts that made everyone's jaws drop. Suddenly, the PGA's iron grip on professional golf looked shaky as hell. Big names started jumping ship. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, guys who had built their entire careers on the PGA Tour were walking away for guaranteed money, shorter schedules, and zero pressure. No missed cuts, massive guaranteed paychecks, private jets everywhere they went. But then the whispers started getting louder, and they all centered around one name, Rory McIlroy, golf's golden boy from Northern Ireland, four-time major champion, the guy who represented everything the PGA Tour stood for. People started wondering if even he might be tempted by the money. At first, Rory just laughed it off. During the 2022 PGA Championship, he told reporters that LIV wasn't for him, at least not right then. But that little phrase, "not right then," sent the internet into a complete meltdown. Social media exploded. Betting markets opened up on whether he'd eventually make the jump, and suddenly everyone was watching his every move. Behind closed doors, things were getting intense. By 2023, LIV was expanding fast. More tournaments, more team concepts, more insane money being thrown around. Golf insiders started talking about offers in the hundreds of millions being dangled in front of Rory. Greg Norman himself was supposedly making personal calls. Rory pushed back hard, calling LIV a dangerous disruption that threatened everything golf was supposed to represent. But even his closest friends could see the frustration building with how the PGA Tour was being run. The politics, the bureaucracy, it was all starting to wear him down. Social media turned into a circus. People analyzed everything he did, every expression, every outfit choice. Was he sending signals? A viral video of him talking quietly with his agent in Dubai got 50,000 likes and spawned conspiracy theories that lasted for weeks. By 2024, even polls were showing that nearly half of golf fans thought Rory would eventually crack and join LIV. He was stuck being golf's reluctant hero, defending traditions while billion-dollar temptations sat right in front of him. And everyone kept asking the same question: how long could his loyalty survive the exhaustion?
I think it's hard to punish people. I don't think there should be a punishment for. I've changed my tune on that because I see where golf is, and I see that having a diminished PGA Tour and having a diminished LIV Tour or anything else is bad for both parties. Be much better being together and moving forward together for the good of the game, and that's my opinion of it. So.
By 2022, Rory wasn't just another professional golfer anymore. He had turned into golf's final defender, fighting against what felt like an invasion of oil money trying to buy the sport. While other players were cashing out left and right, Rory doubled down on his commitment to the PGA Tour. At the Wells Fargo Championship, he didn't just criticize the breakaway league. He delivered what felt like a passionate speech about why LIV was betraying everything golf represented. The crowd didn't just listen, they were completely fired up by what he said. Now here's where things get really intense. He started working directly with PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan, basically becoming an unofficial advisor on how to stop more players from leaving. They came up with new contract structures, loyalty incentives, bigger prize pools. Rory's fingerprints were all over the tour's strategy to fight back. But the personal cost was brutal. His friendships started cracking apart. When John Ram took a $300 million deal to join LIV, sources said he sent Rory a message that basically felt like a goodbye. These weren't just competitors. These were guys he'd known for years. 2023 became the year Rory went full attack mode. In interview after interview, he tore apart LIV's format. The 54-hole tournaments, the lack of cuts, the team concept. He said none of it resembled real golf. He even called the whole thing a cult at one point. His fans loved it. TV ratings went through the roof, but people close to him started noticing how drained he looked. When rumors surfaced about a $400 million offer from Lev, Rory shot it down immediately, but even his denial sounded exhausted. After the 2023 Ryder Cup, he made some emotional comments about feeling trapped in an endless cycle that went viral and made people wonder if golf's biggest defender was starting to break. By 2024, something had shifted. His tone wasn't as aggressive anymore. During testimony in the Department of Justice antitrust investigation, he admitted that golf couldn't keep operating as two separate worlds forever. When he finally won the 2025 Masters, the major championship that had escaped him for so long, it should have been pure celebration. Instead, his victory speech felt more like someone saying goodbye. He talked about loyalty to the PGA Tour, but also hinted that the place he once called home was feeling more and more crowded. He was still the face of loyalty, but something had changed behind his eyes. Instead of pure determination, you could see doubt creeping in. But here's where the story takes an absolutely crazy turn. While Rory was publicly destroying Lev Golf, their existence was quietly making him wealthier than he'd ever been. Back in 2019, before Lev existed, Rory was making about $18 million a year. By 2024, that number had jumped to $28 million, and that wasn't even counting his endorsement deals. Lev's competition had forced the PGA Tour to completely restructure how they paid players. Prize pools got bigger, tournament purses exploded, and the whole financial landscape of professional golf got turned upside down. Rory knew exactly what was happening. Forbes called it the Lev dividend. Basically, Lev's chaos was adding massive money to Rory's bank account. Nike, Omega, TaylorMade, all his sponsors doubled down on supporting his clean-cut anti-Lev image. The irony was incredible. The league he hated was making him more valuable than ever. A Deloitte report even said that Lev's disruption had boosted golf's global popularity by 25% and called Rory the biggest accidental winner from all the chaos. But not everyone was buying his act. Social media posts started calling him out for getting rich off a league he claimed to despise. One viral post got 100,000 views, basically accusing him of hypocrisy. Rory brushed it off, but he didn't exactly deny it either. After winning at Pebble Beach in early 2025, he made a comment about how the $20 million prize pool wouldn't exist without Lev pushing the tour to compete. Social media went nuts. Some people thought he was being practical. Others said he was showing his true colors. Then the burnout started showing. He pulled out of 3 tournaments, skipped press conferences, and started talking openly about needing mental breaks. Even his schedule got cut from 25 tournaments down to 18, which started looking a lot like the easy lifestyle Lev players were living. On a podcast, he even hinted that Lev's format might be appealing later in his career, though he wasn't ready for it yet. He was almost teasing people with the possibility. It was fascinating to watch. The guy who had built his reputation fighting against the future was slowly starting to live like it. Rory had this double life going: minor moral crusader during the day, but quietly benefiting from the chaos at night. His empire was thriving because of the exact storm he claimed to hate. 2025 was supposed to be Rory's perfect year. Masters champion, career Grand Slam complete, legacy locked in. Instead, it turned into 12 months of complete chaos that played out in front of the entire world. The second he put on that green jacket, social media exploded. Sports accounts started posting that Rory had reached his peak and suggesting it was the perfect time for him to cash in with Lev. The idea spread like wildfire. What if he ended his career with the ultimate payday? The rumor machine went absolutely crazy. Sky Sports started reporting whispers about a $250 million legacy offer from Lev that would give him flexible scheduling and limited appearances. Exactly the kind of deal that could tempt someone who was mentally exhausted. Then the 2025 Ryder Cup happened in September, and it turned into a complete soap opera. Team Europe destroyed Team USA, but nobody was talking about the golf. Everyone was focused on Rory's heated exchange with Lev's Brooks Koepka on the sideline. A video of him shouting during the match got 100,000 views in 24 hours, and people started saying his bitterness was finally showing. After that came the withdrawals. He pulled out of the Scottish Open and the Irish Open, both times citing personal reasons. The headlines wrote themselves. McIlroy's silence, Lev beckons. In August, during a podcast interview, Rory finally dropped his polished media persona. He admitted that all the politics in golf had completely drained him and that the sport was supposed to be about joy, not endless fighting. You could hear it in his voice. This was a guy suffocating under the weight of his own principles. By fall, fans at tournaments were chanting for a unified global tour while he played behind Lev's Patrick Reed at the BMW PGA Championship. Betting markets shifted hard, and the odds of him joining Lev in 2026 dropped to plus 200. Even his agent couldn't stop the speculation anymore. But then something wild happened. Lev made their boldest move yet. They announced 72-hole tournaments, basically copying the PGA Tour's format exactly. When reporters asked Rory about it, he called the decision peculiar, but you could hear the frustration in his voice. He was watching his biggest rival copy everything he stood for, and he seemed almost intrigued by it, despite himself. The writing was on the wall. The war had broken its biggest soldier. The guy who had been golf's moral compass looked completely lost, and that's exactly when he decided to do something that would shock the entire golf world. After months of speculation, withdrawals, and obvious exhaustion, Rory McIlroy finally called a press conference that would change everything. The location? A luxury hotel conference room in Dubai, with cameras everywhere and reporters sitting on the edge of their seats. You could feel the tension in the room before he even said a word. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Was golf's biggest loyalist about to become its biggest defector? Then Rory opened his mouth and dropped the news that nobody saw coming. He told the packed room that he was getting off what he called the hamster wheel. The place went dead silent. Everyone knew they were witnessing something huge. Rory announced that his 2026 schedule would be completely different, only 12 to 14 tournaments, focusing on majors, Ryder Cups, and a few select global events. He said that after giving everything to the sport for 15 years, he needed to be smarter about his career if he wanted another decade at the top level. The days of grinding through 25 tournaments a year were over. The irony was impossible to ignore. Here was a guy taking inspiration from Lev's approach while still pledging loyalty to the PGA Tour. He shut down rumors about potentially joining Lev, calling them flattering but completely wrong. He even took a shot at their recent switch to 72-hole tournaments, saying they were now chasing the PGA Tour instead of leading innovation. But underneath all the defiance, there was something deeper. Rory floated the idea of a super schedule that would bring both tours together under one unified system. He said the golf world had become too fractured and that maybe it was time for shared custody of the sport. The announcement felt like rebellion and surrender at the same time. Fans flooded social media with support. His name trended globally for hours. Lev supporters mocked him for wanting to cherry-pick tournaments without full commitment. But you could see in Rory's body language that this wasn't about giving up. This was about survival. A guy choosing his mental health over the spectacle. Behind the official press release, people started talking about therapy sessions and marriage counseling. He'd spent the entire year fighting burnout and an identity crisis. Now he was rebuilding both. When his wife Erica joined him on stage for a quiet hug, one thing became crystal clear. Rory McIlroy wasn't quitting golf. He was quitting the chaos. But the question everyone was asking remained. Had Lev finally won by forcing him to change? The answer would blow everyone's minds. The reaction was instant, global, and completely chaotic. PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan called Rory's decision a blueprint for sustainable careers. Shane Lowry posted an emotional video saying his friend had earned the right to step back. Fans celebrated everywhere. Memes about Rory retiring to the clubhouse flooded the internet, and Nielsen reported a 15% overnight spike in PGA Tour interest. But Lev supporters saw it differently. They smelled victory. Greg Norman released a brief statement saying Rory's choices were personal and that Lev's model was clearly influencing the sport. Lee Westwood jumped on social media, suggesting that Rory's decision to scale back might be about avoiding competition with Lev players. The internet went absolutely nuts. Bryson DeChambeau called Rory's move brilliant strategy, while critics accused him of stealing Lev's ideas without having the courage to fully commit. Meanwhile, Las Vegas oddsmakers shifted everything. The chances of Rory joining Lev in 2026 dropped to plus 2,000, basically impossible. The war seemed to be over, but Rory's plan felt more like a negotiated peace treaty than a clear victory for either side. Industry analysts started calling it the Rory model: 10 shared global tournaments, major championships protected, everyone's ego somewhat intact. It was pretty poetic when you thought about it. The guy who had fought so hard to keep golf pure had ended up creating the roadmap for bringing it back together. His 2026 schedule, featuring events at Portrush and Augusta, was already breaking ticket sale records. For the first time in years, Rory actually looked peaceful. But this reduced schedule was just the beginning of something much bigger that nobody saw coming. While everyone was debating his tournament choices, Rory was quietly building the future of golf in a completely different way. And when the truth came out, it changed everything. Here's where the story gets absolutely mind-blowing. While everyone was focused on Rory stepping back from traditional golf, he was actually building something revolutionary that could change the sport forever. Meet TGL, Tomorrow's Golf League, the high-tech indoor golf league that Rory co-founded with Tiger Woods through their company TMRW Sports. This wasn't just some side project. This was Rory creating the exact future he wanted instead of complaining about the system he inherited. Picture this: a custom-built arena in Florida that looks like something from a sci-fi movie. Massive screens for long shots, real greens that can literally change shape during play, and 1,500 fans watching elite golfers compete in prime time on ESPN. It's like traditional golf met the NBA, and the result was absolutely electric. But the genius of TGL goes way deeper than just technology. Rory had figured out how to solve every problem he had with professional golf in one brilliant move. Want shorter tournaments? TGL matches finish in 2 hours. Tired of endless travel? All matches happen in one venue. Sick of playing for crowds that don't understand golf? TGL attracts younger fans who actually get excited. When TGL launched in January 2025, nearly 1 million viewers tuned into the first match. Rory's Boston Common team didn't dominate, they actually struggled in the first season. But that wasn't the point. The point was that Rory had just proven you could completely reimagine golf without destroying what made it great. The timing was perfect. While Lev Golf was copying the PGA Tour's 72-hole format, trying to look more traditional, Rory was racing in the opposite direction. He was embracing innovation, technology, and entertainment in ways that made both tours look outdated. Tiger Woods called TGL a dream that came into reality and said they had taken golf into another stratosphere. But for Rory, this was more than just a business venture. This was him showing the entire golf world that you don't have to choose between the old system and the new one. You can build something completely different. TGL represents everything Rory's reduced schedule announcement was really about. He wasn't just stepping back from golf. He was stepping forward into a future where players control their own destiny. Technology enhances the experience, and fans actually matter. But even this incredible innovation was just the setup for the final twist.